At 2:37 in the morning, I watched through my infrared cameras as a man dressed like a cop crept along my north fence line, his badge gleaming in the dark. When he touched the gate, 7,000 volts knocked him flat on his back, screaming into the night. That moment didn't just save my cattle, it blew the cover off the dirtiest HOA scam I've ever seen in my life. I never thought inheriting my grandfather's 15 acres would drag me right back into the kind of games I thought I'd left behind. I spent over a decade as an insurance fraud investigator chasing liars, picking apart fake documents, watching people swear up and down in court that their staged accidents were real. After 12 years of that, I thought a ranch out in Millfield County, Texas, with 47 longhorns and quiet sunsets was finally going to give me peace. Turns out, peace doesn't last long when you're surrounded on 3 sides by the Sunset Ridge Homeowners Association. From day one, their president, Karen Stormfield, decided my land was an eyesore. She showed up at my gate with her HOA measuring stick poking at my fence, telling me my grass was over 3 inches, that my cows stank up the air, that my posts weren't evenly spaced. She waved around our work with official-looking seals and signatures, threatening me like she had a sheriff's badge in her back pocket. Problem was, I'd seen that playbook before. The fonts were wrong, the seals blurry, the case numbers didn't match anything the county used. It was a con, the same intimidation tactics I'd seen fraudsters use to scare small business owners into paying fines that didn't exist. I tried brushing it off. Called the county once or twice just to confirm what I already knew, that her citations were trash. But the more I pushed back, the harder she leaned in. And I realized this wasn't just one bitter HOA president on a power trip. This was bigger. She wanted my land, and she was willing to bend or break anything in her way to get it. Things escalated 6 months in. One morning, I woke up and 3 of my best cows were gone. Vanished. No broken fencing, no tire tracks, no signs of a struggle. Just a fake citation taped to my gate stamped Millfield County Animal Control, accusing me of unsanitary conditions, bad medical records endangering public safety. It demanded I show up for a hearing in 10 days or risk losing the rest of the herd. It would have been enough to scare most people into selling. I remember standing in the pasture that morning, the sun just breaking, staring at those empty spaces where Bessie and the others should have been, and for the first time in years, I felt helpless. I thought maybe they're right. Maybe a cattle ranch doesn't belong wedged between manicured lawns and cul-de-sacs. Maybe if I sold out, I'd finally be left alone. That thought ate at me because I'd built a career on telling victims they weren't crazy, that they weren't wrong, that scams were real, and here I was doubting myself, ready to fold. But then the investigator in me kicked back. I found a gum wrapper near the fence, fancy European brand you couldn't buy at a gas station. I tracked it to a candy boutique in town where the owner told me only one regular bought it in bulk, Melissa Brooks, the HOA treasurer. Suddenly, it all clicked. HOA fees had gone up 3 times in 2 years. Security services, nobody saw Melissa posting vacation pictures from beaches she couldn't afford. This wasn't just harassment. This was organized theft and embezzlement. Then the vet called. The missing cows had been pumped full of sedatives, the kind only licensed doctors could get. Someone had drugged my herd to keep them quiet during transport. That's when rage replaced doubt. They weren't just harassing me, they were poisoning my animals, dismantling a 3-generation legacy for a quick payout. And just when I thought I had enough proof to go to the police, my neighbor Mrs. Chen knocked on my door. Quiet woman, kept to herself. She handed me hours of recordings she'd made, secret HOA meetings, strategy sessions about Phase 3 of their plan with my ranch listed as the primary target. They talked about maximum pressure and final resolution. That was code for violence. That was the line. So I set my own line. I upgraded my security infrared cameras with facial recognition motion sensors, mics, sensitive enough to pick up whispers 50 yards out. I ran a new electric fence at legal voltage, 7,000 volts of warning written on every signpost. And in the barn, I dusted off my grandfather's old M60 and rigged it to fire high-velocity paint rounds. Non-lethal, but enough to tag anyone stupid enough to trespass. A week later, the alarms went off again, 3:15 a.m. Moonless night. 3 figures moving across my land. 1 in a fake cop uniform, 2 in utility coveralls with wire cutters and hard hats. They thought they looked official. Through my scope, I realized the leader's walk was familiar, the cadence of his voice even more so. Then it hit me. Dylan Stormfield Karen's 19-year-old son supposed to be studying criminal justice. She had her own kid playing dress-up as a cop leading raids on my ranch. I listened as he told the others Mom said this would be easy. Just scare him, take the cows. My blood boiled, but I kept still. When Dylan cut through the fence, the shock dropped him instantly, his scream ripping through the night. His partners bolted, abandoning everything, and that was my cue. I squeezed the trigger and let the M60 rattle paint rounds streaking orange across the dark, tagging both runners like deer in hunting season. They stumbled, marked and glowing under infrared easy prey for the deputies racing down my driveway 6 minutes later. But the best part, Dylan. Still twitching from the jolt, crying out, "Mom said this wasn't supposed to happen." His own words tied Karen straight into the conspiracy. By dawn, she was in cuffs, caught tweeting about justice being served from a parking lot half a mile away with her trunk full of fake uniforms and forged documents. Melissa went down for embezzling over $200,000. Mark Wilson, her slick boyfriend/real estate appraiser, got nailed for insurance fraud and appraisal scams. The whole rotten HOA collapsed overnight. When I saw Karen's face as the deputies pulled her from her SUV, mascara running, still clutching her phone, I felt no triumph, just the cold satisfaction of justice finally catching up. For months, she'd played queen of the neighborhood, lording over homeowners like a dictator. And now, her empire was nothing but evidence bags and felony charges. That's where my story ends, not in celebration, not in peace, but with the image of Dylan screaming for his mom, while law enforcement dragged the HOA's dirty laundry into the light. Because in the end, power built on lies always collapses, and bullies only win until someone refuses to bow. Never underestimate how far corruption will go when it hides behind authority, and never underestimate how far you can go when you finally decide to fight back.